Yui Sasaki. She has won every world title and Olympic title since 2017. She gets beat by Vanish Fogat in the semifinals, and then the finals are the next day. She misses weight.
How does somebody make weight one day and then miss weight for the biggest opportunity of her career at that point?
It's easier than you think.
Another situation that I can think of that's super common is that like they just didn't time out the water cut right.
What are your thoughts on weight cutting for a jiu-jitsu competition?
I don't know what it is, but I feel like everyone in jiu-jitsu lies about how much weight they're cutting.
What was the most like drastic cuts you guys have ever done?
After I only got a 1.2 pounds off for that hour workout, I remember laying literally butt naked on the bench in the 24-hour fitness locker room. My boy came over and like put a towel on me. He's like, come on, bro. I'm pretty sure I told him like, I don't give a who sees it. He was like, bro, get yourself together, dog. Dun 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 dun. My bad, guys. I'm in the USA spirit right now, you know? Fresh off the Olympics. This is Deron Winn, and with my co-host, Mason Fowler.
You're my co-host.
You're my co-host.
You're my co-host.
DM, Deron and Mason Show. And with our amazing producer, Andrew. And I want to catch up on some Olympics. The Olympics are closing out right now, but, you know, the whole world has been, you know, consumed with the Olympics the last couple of weeks. It's kind of crazy how fast it goes. And it's kind of crazy. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but it feels like it's like not as big deal anymore. Yeah. Is that how you guys feel?
Which is weird, right? With social media, you would think it would be the complete opposite.
Yeah.
But maybe that's why.
But that's why. I think that's why.
Yeah, I just remember, so like, again, kind of showing my age here, but I remember the 96 Olympics was like the biggest thing I had like ever seen. Like I used to watch like every freaking event, like, right, because I'm like, I don't know, I was in like 5th grade or whatever. So I didn't have nothing to do anyways, but I just remember seeing it and like it was on every commercial. You go to the store, like every item is somehow like a USA Olympic team something. And now I'm like, yeah, it seems like nobody cares.
Well, that's
right?
when people were watching basic cable.
True. Yeah, no one watches TV anymore, and everyone is consuming short form content. And the Olympics, you have to like sit there and watch it. Mm-hmm. People don't have the attention span for it anymore.
And everybody like, there's so much stuff going on, and you have so much at your fingertips with your phone and social media that it's like nothing is as like special anymore.
Yeah, it's not as stimulating.
Yeah,
we're so stimulated, like scrolling through Reels and TikTok, and our dopamine's just fried. And then we're just sitting there like watching people like, bro. We're just watching people pole vault, and it's like, I don't care. Like, let me get back on TikTok.
Yeah, bro. You're like, another gold medal. Like nobody cares anymore.
No one cares.
The only thing we care about is when, you know, the guy pole vaulting hit the thing with his penis.
That's crazy.
And then also like that Australian that was like breakdancing that everyone's been making fun of.
Crazy.
Like, but so with all that though, like I open up Twitter and all I see is political stuff right now. So it's just like a weird timing situation with like the election plus the Olympics happening, you know, all at once. And so dude, it's kind of it's too bad, you know, it sucks.
I will say, how insane is it that breakdancing is in the Olympics and jiu-jitsu isn't in the Olympics?
Dude, yeah. Dude.
And I think there's like taekwondo. Like who's doing taekwondo? Who's doing karate? Everyone's doing jiu-jitsu. There's a jiu-jitsu gym on every corner. How do we not have jiu-jitsu in the Olympics?
I do believe that jiu-jitsu should be in the Olympics. But I will say things like taekwondo and karate, I mean, they're like OG traditional Olympic sports, bro, you know? So it's like
breakdancing though?
Judo. No, not breakdancing sucks. Dude, there's gaming. There's all types of weird shit now.
Yeah, I'm a little bummed out that jiu-jitsu is not in the Olympics.
And it just seems like how does that get voted on?
That's so there's that, but like
in Olympics or Olympic wrestling almost got voted out.
It did get voted out, didn't it? And then they
did get voted out.
Yeah, crazy, bro. That was crazy.
Point. Yeah, what I was gonna say, like, no hate to skating. I freaking love skating, but like, if I'm gonna say new. Jiu-jitsu is not new, but if something like skating that's like on the like younger, newer side of things can get in, like how like I get it, right? You have
jiu-jitsu will
traditional,
get in eventually.
You have tradition, and you have these sports. I don't know. I just think jiu-jitsu would crush in the Olympics. I think everybody would be watching. I mean, obviously,
for
I would,
sure,
and I'm
for sure. It would be one of the biggest sports in the Olympics. I mean, it's one of the biggest sports in the world.
It'll get in eventually, but I mean, hopefully by that time I'm not too old to even have a shot.
Is Sambo in the Olympics?
I don't think Sambo is, no. I'm not sure though.
Judo is though.
Judo is.
Yeah, and jiu-jitsu is definitely bigger than judo.
Yeah. In this day and age for sure. But it's also recently. Like it wasn't always that big. It's gotten way bigger since MMA has become mainstream.
For sure.
Yeah, you think if they put it into the next Olympics, you have a shot at it, Mason?
The next Olympics, I would go for it. Yeah, I would train and do the trials and
hell yeah,
for sure.
Dude, that'd be so.
I would be 35. That would probably be the last one I would be able to have a shot at. Like I'm not doing it at
2028.
Yeah, I would do it. I would try out.
Well, they do have it's not Olympics, but they have the Worlds. It's like one of our guys, John Chandler, is on the what's it called? The
United World
Grappling. Yeah, the Grappling World Championship team or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, I think that there's going to be some really good talent there, but it's kind of new and,
it's not the best in the world.
Yeah, no, it's not the best in the world. So it's like, I guess people are trying, but it hasn't just reached where it needs to be yet, But I will say this, wrestling, which was the first Olympic sport, is still going strong.
It was the first Olympic sport?
It was the first sport in the world. Wrestling.
Yeah, it's like pancration back in the day, right?
Yeah, can you fact check that? Can anybody fact check that?
I know it was it was in like the first Olympics, right?
I mean, we've said it forever. Yeah, but it is. It was the first sport. And yeah, it might have been Greco-Roman that was the first too.
Yeah.
So I'll say this. As a kid who wrestled since he was 4 years old, my ultimate dream was the Olympics, win an Olympic gold medal. Before I ever even considered making money off of competing, I would watch the Olympics, the U.S. team in the Olympics. And even when I was like 8, 12, whatever, I didn't understand fully like what was going on. And it probably wasn't even as mainstream back then, like on cable, but I did know every Olympic gold medalist, like from 2000 on, 96 on, and I will say this, and as I dove deeper into the sport and got to where I was actually a guy who was considered to be, on the U.S. national team and, actually making real attempt to make the team, I've known, all the way back to 1972. I could tell you the majority of the gold medalists. And I will say this, history was made this year, and not in a good way. It was the first year since 1968 that men's freestyle wrestling in the United States did not have an Olympic gold medalist.
Wow.
Crazy, dude.
Wow.
Dude. And the crazy thing is I feel like the U.S. is better than ever. And the thing is that we have won a world title recently, team-wise. Even when Russia was in it, we beat Russia and Iran and Georgia and all the best teams in the world. And so and we'll get to talking about this, but what I'm curious is, there's a thing, and I'm sure it's similar in jiu-jitsu, but matchups make or break you. And I feel like sometimes whenever we're wrestling domestically, if you've wrestled a guy before so many times or wrestled him your whole life, or you train with him, there's chances you can beat him in a live match. So if you beat this guy at Olympic trials, but he has better competition skills than you, it doesn't matter because you beat him. And that could be the downfall of what's going on here. with that, Amit Elor just won the Olympic gold medal. She's the youngest American of all time to win the gold medal.
Bro, do you know she's dating Mika Gavao?
Yeah, that's so crazy, bro.
Kid? That's so crazy, right?
So crazy.
I knew he was dating like a wrestling chick, and I had seen them together and this and that. And then all of a sudden I'm seeing these posts of her like winning an Olympic gold medal. I was like, what? I didn't know she was like that good.
She's the GOAT. She's 20 years old.
Yeah.
Last year in 2023, she won the U20 World Championship. She won the U23 World Championship, and she won the senior level World Championship.
Wow.
I don't even know if that's ever been done.
Wow.
She won so prior to her, Kyle Snyder had the record at 20 years old, Olympic champion. She's like 4 months younger than Kyle Snyder.
Wow.
And then before that, Henry Cejudo, Triple C, had the record at 21 years old for 8 years. So he won it in 2008. Snyder won it in 2016. And she's making history. I mean, I can't even imagine, because I'm pretty sure Helen's like 30, 31, 32 maybe. I mean, they give Amit wrestlers for 12 more years. I mean, it's like you either do that and you just become the best women's wrestler of all time, or you transition to MMA.
Speaking of Helen, she's one of the few wrestlers that I know of. I'm not that deep in the wrestling world, right? But I know of Helen, and I've been following her a little bit because obviously she won an Olympic gold medal before, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was at the gym lifting weights with my buddy, and then they had on the big screen the Olympics playing, and I just got lucky that wrestling was on. So I was like, oh, sick. We'll watch this while we're lifting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Helen comes onto the mat, and I'm telling my boy, he doesn't know anything about wrestling. I'm like, bro, this chick's going to smash this chick.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, she's the GOAT. And then
it was the semifinals.
Little Asian chick walks into the mats, and little skinny chick, and I'm like,
Japanese girl.
I'm like, bro, Helen is gonna murder this chick, bro. Helen's the truth. And I was like, trust me, bro, trust me. And then it was like 12-0 or something. The Asian chick beat her. Bro, and my boy is like looking at me like I'm an idiot, you know?
Yeah.
Come to find out, she's like undefeated, like 50-0 internationally.
Oh yeah, the Japanese women's team has been the best team in the world for a decade.
Crazy, and then
they're incredible.
And then she lost to some girl from India, right?
No, so that was different weight classes.
Oh, okay.
And so what you're talking about, and I wanted to get to talking about this too, is Yui Sasaki. She's a Japanese girl. I think she's like 22. And she has won every world title and Olympic title since 2017 at 53 kilos. She's lost one time in her last 10 years of wrestling, and it was in 2019 she lost to another Japanese girl at Japanese Nationals and didn't go to Worlds. But every other year she's won Worlds and Olympics. She was like 82-0 internationally. She gets beat by the Indian, her name's Vinesh Phogat, in the semifinals. Vinesh Phogat had protested for the last year to the Indian government, and you guys can look it up and hopefully we'll clip it, but there's literally videos of her in India sitting in front of the government, and the military officials are trying to pull her away, and the civilians are like holding on to her because the president of, it's called like the WFI, like the Indian Wrestling Federation, had been accused of or a bunch of coaches had been accused of sexually harassing the female athletes, and nothing was being done. So she protested for an entire year and sat down in front of the, what's it called? The Capitol building, and an old school sit down protest, and led this regime to protest. And they tried to not let her go to the Olympics because of this.
Wow.
And so she was already a hero in those. And there's more to it. Her family, the Phogat family, there's a movie on Netflix about it. And her older sister, Geeta Phogat, was I forget, I'll think of the name, but I'll figure it out. They're big time. They're very, very famous. And so she gets to the Olympics, has wrestled Yui Sasaki before, has never beat her, beats her in the semis. So you wrestle however many matches it is in one day, 1, 2, 3, and then the finals are the next day.
And you have to weigh in again?
You have to make weight. Yes.
Oh, my God.
She misses weight.
Barely, right? By 100 grams.
No, 0.7 kilos.
Oh, okay. That's
which is like barely. A pound and a half.
Yeah.
So instead of her which in my opinion, and this is, I guess, I don't want it to sound biased, but, I think she deserves second place. She just forfeits the second place match or the first place match and just gets a silver medal. But that's not how it is.
But does she not get another chance to make weight?
No, it's over.
Like, they don't give you any time?
It's over.
That sounds crazy. Like, they can't give her like an hour to make.
Well, I think she got an hour. I think she weighed in twice.
Oh, okay. And she failed again.
So instead of her even getting to wrestle back or anything, she's just out.
So she lost her silver medal.
Lost her medal at all.
So then who got the silver medal? The winner of the third place match?
So she beat Yui Sasaki, the Japanese girl who was 82-0 in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Then she had a Cuban girl in the semifinals.
Yeah.
That girl, instead of wrestling back, made it to the finals.
Wow.
She would have had Yui Sasaki for bronze. And then I don't know how they did this, because here's the thing is like, the girl that they brought back to wrestle bronze would have already thought she was out of the tournament.
Yeah.
So did she come back? I would have to dig deeper, but like, did they tell her that she needed to make weight again, or she came back, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, bro. I mean, but what's crazy is like, I have a lot of experience with the Indian national team, because when I was like in the heart of it, the Indian national team would come train with us a bunch. And coincidentally, the guy who was 84 kilos, Puwan Kumar, was like, I trained with him all the time. He married Geeta Phogat. I mean, you look him up. She has like 1 million followers on Instagram. She's super famous. And, like there's a movie made after him on Netflix. And so I follow like a few of like the really prominent like Indian wrestlers. Bro, Vinesh Phogat is a hero to them. No matter what. Even though she missed weight, that's the difference in cultures, right? Imagine if an American missed weight.
I know. They get shit
what
on.
People would say, bro.
Yeah.
They're like, we are hero. We love you. You're the golden girl. Like, you're our Olympic silver medalist. Like, because I'm like translating all their captions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of the biggest news of wrestling, honestly. But then it worked out. The person who it worked out the most for was our girl and a friend of mine, Sarah Hildebrandt. And she won the Olympic gold medal.
Is she the girl that came and trained at Deron with
yes,
us?
Her and Allie.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
Olympic gold medalist, bro.
Crazy.
Beast.
You're welcome. Had to have been that. Had to have been that one training session that she did with me, bro.
Had to be, bro. I've trained her a couple times, so I'll take 1%, Sarah. Just whatever. Because, the U.S. has a fund that if you win an Olympic gold medal, you get $250K.
250?
Yeah. If you win a world title, it's 50.
That's for wrestling.
Yeah, for wrestling.
Okay. That's USA Wrestling, right?
It's called the Living the Dream Foundation. Yeah.
Okay. So that's not any Olympic gold medal from like any athlete.
No. I'm sure that every other, organization has their own.
Like something.
Yeah, something, right?
Has it always been 250K or is that?
Yeah. The world title's always been 50.
For how long? For the last 20 years?
At least since I was in it. At least since 2010.
I mean, due to inflation, they got to start pumping those numbers up, bro.
But what's crazy is we're so successful now. I'm like, is the money running out? I mean, there's Olympic gold. They had to pay 2 Olympic gold medals this year. And then a silver and bronze get paid too.
Yeah.
So it's like they've written so many checks over the last 12 years. Like, who's funding this?
Bunch of rich, old retired wrestlers that want a tax write-off.
Incredibly rich.
Yeah, they use it for a write-off, right?
Yeah, and you got to think that they've brainstormed to get more money. I mean, I'm seriously curious about. I'd actually really be interested to see what that's looking like right now. You know, because just between Sarah and Amit, that's $500K.
Yeah, but think about this. That's like USA Wrestling, right?
Yeah.
Think about like, I mean, when you're like wrestling in high school, you have to sign up for USA Wrestling, right?
Yes.
And then you probably have to pay like a $10 fee.
Oh, bro, you have to pay like a $100 fee to have a USA Wrestling card, and all the coaches do too.
Something. Yeah. So that's where the money's
every
coming
year
from.
It renews.
Yeah. That's where the money's coming from, bro.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and I think they have donors too. Like, there's always a team leader every 4 years.
And the tournaments,
the team leader is like a super rich. Like, for the last probably 8 years, it's been Andy Barth, and he's the president of the Titan Mercury Club, but he is not rich. I mean, he does other like financial, like he's super rich, you know. So he funds a lot of it, and yeah, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who give, because I think the Living the Dream is a nonprofit, so people are donating, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they're making a lot more than they're paying when they get gold, right? You know, it's really good for business.
For sure.
So
in every USA Wrestling event is, you have to, you know what I mean? Entry fee. Here's the thing where it all adds up. Entry fees. Yeah, so you get the USA Wrestling card, and then you have to pay to enter the tournament.
Yeah.
And then your parents and spectators, they have to pay to get in the tournament.
Yeah. So that's the difference between like wrestling and like, let's say like IBJJF, right? Is IBJJF has the same system set up, but then for years there was no cash prize for like the Black Belt World Champs. They just recently, like in the last year or two, added like a $10,000 cash prize.
Oh, wow.
For like Black Belt World Champs. And same thing. I mean, think of all the masses, like, because it's more common for like an everyday person to compete in an IBJJF tournament than to compete in a wrestling tournament, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, kids in high school or like people that are trying to chase wrestling as a profession are actually doing wrestling tournaments. Man, some of the IBJJF tournaments, like the World Masters, which is for people that are like 30 and up, they do it in Vegas at this like exhibition center, and they have like 50 mats going all at once. 50 mats. It's a huge exhibition hall, and it's just mats, nonstop mats, and the whole place is
just
packed.
randoms,
bro, random, everyday people, and moms and dads, and they do the jiu-jitsu con, which has for kids. So then they have 50 mats of kids going for like 2 days straight. 2 days straight, bro, from like 10 in the morning to 5 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
Matches going constantly. And then they do 2 days for kids, and then they do like 4 days for masters, and then they do another event with like 1 or 2 days for the adult competitors too. So it's like, dude, it's like a 6 or 7 day thing sometimes.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's just one tournament. That's the World Master. Then
that's IBJJF.
And then they do the Nogi Worlds, which same thing. It's like a 4 day event. And then they do like, you know, like Brazilian Nationals in Brazil is like, it's like an 8 day event. They do like 3 days of kids, and then they do like masters. So, I mean,
and they draw it out on purpose.
Oh my God, they're making crazy money. And then they have an open, like an IBJJF open every single weekend. And on some weekends, there will be like 3 different opens going on in 3 different cities. So they're just like crushing it, bro. Thousands and thousands of competitors. World Masters must have like 5,000 competitors, and they all pay $200 each. Like, that's $1 million right there, bro. Just in the sign-up fees.
Yeah,
and then the spectators, everyone's bringing their whole family to Vegas with them to compete. Spectators, $20 per day.
20, 40, $50.
And then the vendors, man, I had someone tell me they reached out to IBJJF to try to like set up a booth at the event, and it was like $20K.
No way.
And you go to the event, and there's like 20 booths, bro.
Yeah.
Like, they're crushing it.
Yeah, there's a lot of value in, like, in America, especially running kids wrestling tournaments, even high school wrestling tournaments. Like, there's a It's called Rocky Mountain Nationals, and it's just called RMN. It came off of a tournament called Rocky Mountain Nationals. Now he throws them all over the country, bro. And then what you get there is like these kids where they'll double bracket.
Yeah. So they'll pay extra, right?
So they have to pay too. And then another thing they do, which is hilarious, is an early weigh-in fee. So if you want to weigh in, if you don't want to weigh in at 7, if you want to weigh in at noon, you have to pay $20.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Imagine how many people are doing that.
Yeah.
And there's thousands of kids at this tournament, bro. And it's 2 days, and they'll draw it out on purpose. Like I had some kids go to San Diego this weekend. They were done by noon yesterday, and then had to wrestle again today, and wrestled 2 matches yesterday, and then wrestled 3 today. Like just drawing it out. Like they could have done the whole thing in one day, but they're like, actually, we'll take your money again the next day.
Yeah, we'll take the spectator fees, all the food. Water bottles are $3. They're selling 1,000 of those.
Parking,
bro. Yeah, they're making money.
Yeah, I'm just cracking up because I'm just thinking, especially like the Masters. You're paying like $200, and if you lose your first match, you paid $200 for 5 minutes of potentially 5 minutes of work, right? And then that's it, you're done. So
crazy.
The thought of like 20 mats all going at once at $200.
50, bro.
Okay, yeah, 50. So then like every 5 minutes is another $200. I'm just like doing the math. I mean, I'm not terrible at math, but I'm like, that's a lot of money. That's wild.
Yeah,
I have not sat and considered like all these calculations till right now.
Yeah. And then so like I've like obviously done like seminars and stuff internationally and hung out with, a bunch of different people from different gyms. And most of my crowd of like people that are coming to seminars are those guys, like guys that are like in their 30s or 40s. They discovered their jiu-jitsu late in life, like the Andrews of the world. Those are the guys that are mostly coming to the seminars. And I always hear the same thing. Like, oh yeah, went out to Master Worlds last year. And I'm like, no matter where I'm in the world, these guys, everyone's talking about the Master Worlds. Like these dudes are taking international flights, booking the hotel. Like it's a $2,000-$3,000 trip.
It's crazy, bro.
Crazy.
That's wild.
And not the Andrews of the world. Not everybody's like my boy Andrew over there.
I'm not traveling like that. Not at least not yet. We'll see. Maybe in the future.
No, one day you're going to do World Master, bro.
Yeah, you will. And me and Mason will corner you.
Yeah,
that'd be sick. That'd be dope, bro. No, but I did want to ask you real quick. I already lost the name of the wrestler that missed weight, but
Vinish Fogat.
So as in like, insensitive American, how does somebody make weight one day and then miss weight for the biggest opportunity of her career at that point?
So I'll say this, a guy who's had weight troubles, it's easier than you think. And do I think it's okay? Do I think it's okay that I've ever missed weight? Do I think it's okay she's ever missed weight or she missed weight on this? No, but sometimes what happens, and this I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt, is you put a certain amount of weight back on you so that you can compete well. And then sometimes it's just too much and you miscalculate and you get to the deadline starts coming closer and closer and the weight's not coming off.
Yeah.
And then it's like she thought that she could get X amount of pounds off. I would bet anything that she was probably 7 or 8 pounds over at least. She's 116 pounds.
Yeah.
That's a certain percentage of her body. And then, you get a few off right away and it feels pretty good. And then, then who knows what, I don't know what happened, but something happened to where she looked at the scale and was like, holy shit, it's not coming off.
D, how many times did she have to make weight consecutively?
Just twice.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's 2 things in my head that could have happened. Also, one would be that she dehydrated herself and then her body was feeling dehydrated and then she rehydrated. And then once she rehydrated, her body was holding on to everything because it just got out of a dehydrated state. And then the next day when she went to try to cut the weight, her body was holding on to everything. That's one situation. Another situation that I can think of that's super common is that like they just didn't time out the water cut right. Like maybe like literally maybe if she like just had 1 or 2 more hours, it would have been no problem. But she's probably, maybe she didn't sleep good the night before. And she's like, okay, I don't want to wake up at 6 a.m. and start cutting weight. Let's see. What if I wake up at 8 a.m. and then the weigh-ins are at 10 a.m.? That's enough time. And then you want to get your sleep so you perform well, right? So you prioritize the sleep. And then you wake up and you start cutting.
High she had from beating Yui Sasaki.
Yeah, she probably couldn't sleep, and then she wanted to get a couple extra hours in, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, those are probably two really likely situations.
And I will say this too is, and I know this, you know, being around a lot of female wrestlers and fighters, you know, it depends where they're at with their menstrual cycle. Oh, you know, when they're on their period, they retain water more. You know, you never know what hormones they're going through. You know, I don't know how it happened, and it's sad that it did, but it's like
it happens, bro.
Well, and then and here's one thing I'll have to see too is I don't know if they had to make scratch again the next day. So a lot of times you'll have to make scratch, and you get 2 kilos the next day, or you get, you know, they do that a lot, like at tournaments, high school tournaments. You make weight. And then the next day, if you have to make weight, you get a pound allowance. But for the Olympics, I think you might have to make scratch. And that there's no other tournament like that throughout the year. Throughout the whole year, you always get 2 kilos. Like there's no tournaments you have to make scratch for, bro. None. You always get a 2 kilo allowance, and that's 4.5 pounds. And if anybody who's ever cut weight knows that last 4.5 pounds.
Oh my God, that's everything.
It's everything.
The last pound, bro.
The last pound is everything.
Let alone
you could get those
pounds.
you get those last 2 off because you've been there before, and then the next 2 are like you're sitting in the sauna for 25 minutes, you're not sweating.
Yeah, and you're just questioning everything,
questioning your entire existence of life, bro.
And just this is like always. It's always like this is the last time I'm doing this shit.
This is the last time I'm doing this, bro. I can't.
Or
believe
like, damn, I shouldn't have ate that cheeseburgers 4 weeks ago, that one cheat meal I had.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be better next time.
Yeah, what did I do? Mine was always, how did I get myself in this situation again, bro? Holy shit.
Again.
Holy shit, bro.
Yeah,
it sucks because people don't understand. Sorry, Andrew, not to cut you off, but like literally there's been times with me, and I know I've seen other dudes do it too and other girls do it too, like I'm literally in a sauna for 25 minutes jumping around. I do this thing like it's called like around the world, where you like try to like move your arms. You do good mornings, like you sit down on the bench and kind of stand up real quick, like doing things to try to get my sweat to break, and it just won't break, bro. You want to talk about, because you know what sweat does, right? It cools your body down. Imagine being in a sauna without sweating. Unbelievable.
Can't
explain it.
Yeah,
you got to be careful because you could actually literally like cook your brain at that point.
My brain's cooked a little bit,
dude. It's not good.
The sauna's the least of his worries, bro. The sauna actually might be doing some good, honestly.
Yeah, bro. Sweating my organs. But what were you gonna say, Andrew?
Well, I mean, if somebody does need to cut weight, get just a wet towel and wrap that shit around your head. It could potentially save your brain from being cooked. But what I wanted to ask Mason, because I hear people talk about like for jiu-jitsu competitions, don't cut weight. You know, you should be at the weight that you train at normally. You're almost like your walk around weight, because cutting weight's not really going to be too beneficial because you're not as good as you should be at a lower weight.
Yeah.
But as I'm in the sport, I see more people cutting weight than just like training at a certain weight and walking into a competition at that weight. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts on weight cutting for a jiu-jitsu competition?
Yeah, the first thing I'm going to start out with is I hear way too many people in jiu-jitsu specifically, but I'm sure that like Deron, I'm sure you've heard this before too, but I'm speaking more so in jiu-jitsu that I've heard this shit, where someone like, let's say someone says, oh man, I got to cut 10 pounds to make weight. And then some random dude comes out of nowhere and is like, yeah, bro, I cut 30 pounds every time I compete. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I feel like everyone in jiu-jitsu lies about how much weight they're cutting, first off. I don't know why everyone has to lie and one up and say they cut more weight than the other.
That happens in wrestling too.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I'm just like, I'm praying we can stop doing. But on top of that,
because it's almost like a culture that it's like cool. Like,
it's not
the more
cool,
weight
bro.
you cut, you're like more of a beast or something, you know?
Yeah. And then 9 times out of 10, this is specifically for jiu-jitsu, because when you're a jiu-jitsu athlete, like we spoke about before, a lot of the guys that are competing are just regular guys, right? So they don't have any experience or knowledge with weight cutting. And then they just listen to the Joe Rogan podcast and they hear him talk about how UFC fighters are cutting like 20 pounds, 25 pounds. And then your average Joe is like asking me, hey, bro, should I sign up for 145? And I'm like, how much do you weigh? And he's like, I'm around like 170. I'm like, bro, you're not a UFC champion. Like, what are you talking about?
Especially if you've never cut weight before.
Yeah. And first off, in the IBJJF, you weigh in about 15 minutes before you compete. So let's not cut any water at all, because you have 0 time to rehydrate. Let's compete at a weight where you can wake up in the morning and be 2 pounds under. So that way you can actually eat breakfast. Because I don't know about you, but I can't compete if I don't eat breakfast. I've never competed on an empty stomach, and I don't plan to anytime soon. You don't have enough time to eat or rehydrate. So,
because it might be the only real meal you get in all day until you're done competing.
Yeah. So for IBJJF, if someone comes to me, one of my students, hey, I'm competing in IBJJF. What do you weigh? 165. Cool. Sign up for 170, bro. Like, there's nothing on the line. This isn't your career. Like, you're not going to get anything out of this. You're just doing it for the experience. Don't sign up for 145 and starve yourself and cut 10 pounds of water, because all that's going to happen is you're going to go out there and get triangled in the first 30 seconds because you're dehydrated and your reflexes are slower. Yeah. So now with that being said, I will say everything changes if it's not IBJJF. If we're talking about a different weigh-in structure, if the weigh-ins are the night before and you want to cut 5 pounds of water or whatever, 8 pounds of water, and you want to go sit in the sauna the night before and suffer for a few hours, go ahead, be my guest. Then it's different because then you have time to rehydrate. So everything depends on the amount of time that you have to rehydrate.
Great point. That makes all the difference, bro. If you can weigh in the day before and refuel and then sleep while you have refueled, your body will feel completely different. If you do it and then you go try to wrestle, like college wrestling is 2 hour. It used to be 1 hour weigh-in. It 2 hour weigh-in, bro. Like, do you want to talk about the most miserable you've ever felt competing after you've made weight 2 hours ago? No matter what, if you've eaten or drinking, then you have to warm up. I mean, you have to like give your stomach like time to like digest everything, and like you're almost put your body in shock because you're putting a bunch of liquids in you. Like, dude, some of the worst I've ever felt is right after a weigh-in, after you made weight.
Yeah. So like a good rule of thumb that I've followed, I heard somewhere that your body can process like 2 pounds of worth of water. Like a liter of water is like 2 pounds. Your body can process that in about an hour. So I would say, if like my advice to someone, if they have a 2 hour weigh-in, I wouldn't cut more than 4 pounds of water. That would be my advice. I would say wake up in the morning on an empty stomach, cut 4 pounds of water maximum. I'm not saying cut 4 pounds of water. I'm saying that's your limit. If you can cut 1 or 2 pounds, that's better, right? Do your weigh-in.
Make sure you clarify, bro, before somebody passes out and talking about Mason Fowler told me to do this.
I would say that's your maximum. That's the maximum that I would hold myself to. If you have a 4 hour window, you could cut up to 8 pounds of water, but still I wouldn't recommend it. The best possible thing to do would be to not cut water and to diet down. Or, if you have a 4 hour weigh-in, you can cut a few pounds of water and rehydrate, but it's still not optimal. Optimal would be don't cut any water. Don't dehydrate yourself right before doing a physical competition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my nutritionist, like in the UFC, Eric Pena, and he's a part of like it was Lockhart and Leith, and there's a bunch of those guys that kind of started doing their own thing. But after we would make weight, he would have 3 liters of certain mixes of rehydration drinks, and he literally would not give me the second one until 20 minutes was up.
Yeah.
I would drink the one and he would have to wait till the 20-minute timer and he'd give me the next one. And then he'd wait another 20 minutes and then he'd give me the next one. Yeah. And like half the time I'm like, bro, give me the other one, bro.
Yeah.
He's like literally like hiding them from me.
Yeah.
But it was the best thing for me.
You're not eating either.
You're not eating because you're not even hungry.
You're doing the water first, and then after those 3 liters, after like an hour or 2 has passed, then he's letting you eat something, right?
Yeah, and you're not even hungry.
You're just thirsty.
You might eat some goldfish or something for the salt, but like you're just thirsty, bro. You're not even hungry.
Yeah,
that's funny. So when I competed, I got asked about my weight, and again, I'm just a hobbyist still. They're like, do you got to cut weight or anything? I was like, yeah, I got to lose like 7 pounds. Like, oh, how are you gonna do it? I was like, I don't know, dude. I got like a month. I'm just gonna walk in on weight. Like, I don't have to really do anything. I just have to like eat 2 eggs less a day. Like, it's not that big of a deal. So I didn't even call it a weight cut, right? But
it's not a weight
dieted.
I could see
how people would want to wear that as a badge of honor. Like, oh, I had to go on a cut. Take this shit serious, dude. But what was the most like drastic cuts you guys have ever done?
Me, I've had a couple crazy ones. I mean, honestly, the craziest thing about my cuts were like, and people can believe me or not. I mean, Mason knows firsthand, but it's like, bro, I would walk around at 225, like 220, 225, and I'd make 185. So not only would I have a certain amount of water to cut at the end, I would already be 30 pounds down from my diet from camp. So some of the one of the craziest ones I did was I woke up on Thursday morning and I was 200.2 and I had to make 186 Friday morning. And I did 14 and I obviously split it out. So here's one of those times so we went and we got into the sauna, the first workout, or maybe I did a little pad work and then I just sat in like one of the portable saunas. And I think I got like 3.5 off or whatever. And then I think I like floated another pound before I went to go cut. It's a funny story. Kevin Holland was on that card with me. I actually fought on 3 cards with Kevin. Like, we're like homies, And I remember talking to him and being like, we were going to go to like the 24-hour fitness. It was in Austin. And I remember telling my coaches like, yo, let's invite Kevin because he'll keep the energy high when you're cutting weight. And I remember like halfway through the cut, I was like, bro, I will never invite Kevin again to a weight cut, bro.
Too much, bro. Huh?
Too much, bro. I love him, but he just like does not stop talking, bro. And so we did this one workout and it was like, I would go sauna, hot tub. And I want to say I lost like 6.5, 7 in an hour. And then so we said, all right, let's go home, sleep, and then we'll get the rest off in the morning. And I didn't have anything. And then I think I was like 3.5 over still. And I slept off like 0.8, which is huge. Like anything you can sleep off is huge. So we got back to the same 24-hour fitness at like 7 in the morning, and I was like 2.5 over. We do the same exact workout I did the night before that I lost like 6.5, 7 for, and I lost 1.2 pounds. And that's when shit starts getting crazy. Because it's, weigh-ins start at 9, it's 8:30, and I'm still 1.5 pounds over. And I'm like, and that was one time that I was in the sauna for 25 minutes and could not start sweating. So we try to get back in the sauna. And then finally we were like, all right, screw it. Let's just go back to the hotel and I'll try to actually work it off. And I ended up getting on the treadmill and I started incline walking and with, plastic, sweet sweat on, everything. And then actually the UFC doctor came in and was like, are you okay? Your gait is off. If you want to call it quits right now, I would advise it. And I was at a position that I couldn't do it. I was I have to do this. And so I just manned up. We got into the sauna blanket. I would get back on the treadmill, sauna blanket, and then went down to weigh-ins and I weighed in exactly. I had the curtain, butt naked, 186 on the dot, bro. And what's funny is during the weigh-in, one of my boys, and he cornered me. His name's Kyle Driscoll. You can hear him go, yeah, like scream in the background.
He's so happy. He's like, we did it.
Trying to flex. So crazy. I'm like walking around the hotel in my drawers. Like, you don't care, bro. Funny story. Like in that situation, to explain to you how much you don't care about anything. After I only got a 1.2 pounds off for that hour workout, I remember laying literally butt naked on the bench in the 24-hour fitness locker room, like face down, and like literally my butt was like out, like, you know, my cojones were like poking through, and like my boy came over and like put a towel on me. He's like, come on, bro. Like, and I literally was laying there like, I don't care. I'm pretty sure I told him like, I don't give a fuck who sees it. He was like, bro, get yourself together, dog.
I used to fight MMA at 170, so I was walking around at like around 195. I was a lot smaller at that time. I'm like 225 now, but that was when I was like, 18, 19, 20. And I used to do big water cuts, but I just like listen to this one. There's this one podcast that's like golden. It was like Mike Dol. No. It was the Lockhart guy, George Lockhart.
Mm-hmm.
He's on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he just gives so much like really good information on that podcast. And then I just remember I had those same, like my first 4 fights that I did at 170 were all just miserable. And I had those like horrible experiences with like cutting weight and like locking myself in the sauna and like suffering. But then after that, like my last few MMA fights, I was cutting like pretty high amounts of water weight, and I like got the system down where I wasn't really having to suffer so much.
Damn. What did you do to like replenish, like refuel yourself after that insane cut?
Who, me?
Yeah.
He was eating chicken wings, bro.
No, I wasn't, bro. Stop.
Deron.
I was not eating chicken wings, bro.
Deron, the night before your fight in Bellator against Ahmed White,
I was eating chicken wings for sure.
I stayed in the hotel with you, and I was like, "Hey, let's get some good food to refuel." And you're like, "Yeah, I ordered something already. Don't worry."
Don't worry. I got some wings on the way, cuz.
It was chicken Alfredo pasta and like 12 wings, bro. It was 2 boxes that came to the hotel.
Anyways, and what happened the next day?
My boy got the first round knockout.
Knockout. Hey, there was one of the first times Mason looked at me and he hugged me and he was like, "I love you, bro."
I was scared, bro.
I know. Yeah, it was like he was big.
That dude Ahmed,
big and strong, and he looked scary. He was a black belt.
He was a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he had a bunch of
like amateur knockouts.
He had a bunch of like kickboxing experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, just all around. I mean, like at this point, Deron had been doing MMA for like maybe 2 years.
Deron, like a year.
Deron had a really high level of wrestling at this time, but he was still like amateur at you can only learn so much in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's fighting a guy that's a black belt in grappling and a black belt in striking. And I was scared shitless, Andrew, bro.
You could look it up, but I bopped him.
Deron knocked him out in the first round.
I set him up with the jab, pull, 1-2, knocked him out so bad that like I fell over him because he went to sleep.
He crumpled.
It was sick, bro.
That was
got up.
George,
I threw my mouthpiece out.
Bro.
I jumped up on the cage. I blacked out. I was like, ah! It was so crazy, bro.
That's sick.
There's a funny picture of me and you in the cage after the fight. I was so happy. I was happier than you, I think.
You were so happy, bro. You literally looked at me and hugged me. You was like, I love you, bro.
And then you looked at me and you were like, whoa, were you scared? Why are you so scared for it?
Why are you so scared, dog?
I was like, I was scared for my friend, bro.
Yeah, no, you know what's funny is there's a couple situations where like when you're cutting weight, like you literally, like I remember, I think for that cut, I was like in the 24-hour fitness San Jose and I was laying on the ground in the locker room and some guy, he was like, I'm doctor. He was like an Indian guy. He was like, are you okay? And like DC was there. He was like in the bathroom and I was looking at him and I was like blinking, like, call the police, call 911. And then DC walked out of the bathroom and he was like, he's fine, man. I was like, that was my...
He's fine. Get him back in the sauna.
That was my way out, dog. Hey, and then I have a funny story. Like one time, it was in 2015. It was for the World Team Trials. It was in Madison, Wisconsin. And I was cutting weight in the sauna. And I was down to like my last pound, and I was with my old coach, Trent Paulson, and it might have just been me and him in there, and maybe Angel was in there too, Angel Escobedo. And I was like down to the last one, and it was to where I was like making deals with him. I'm like, all right, because he'd be like, all right, you have 8 minutes. And at like 6 minutes, I'd be like, can I open the door? Like, just, you've never felt anything better than the breeze of the open door coming into the sauna when you've been in there for an hour.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, and we were at like literally a random YMCA in Madison, Wisconsin. And on one of my last goes, some dude comes in there, you know, he's got like this pre-workout drink that's like sweating. I mean, I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my God, it looks so good. He's got his tennis shoes on, everything on, right? And he starts talking to my coach, and he's like, yeah, what? And my coach is telling him what he's doing or what I'm doing. And I'm like literally sitting on the floor of the sauna, and I had like 3 minutes left. And the guy looked at me and he goes, bro, I was supposed to get out right now, but I'm going to stay in here with you because you motivated me. And I looked up at him and I was like, I don't give a fuck what you do right now, bro. He was like, my bad, bro. He was like, my bad, bro. I was like, I literally don't care what you do right now, bro. And my coach was like, all right, Deron, like, chill. Like, bro, leave, bro.
He thought he was helping.
Thought he was helping me, and I was like, bro, I literally looked at him and I was like, I don't give a fuck what you do right now, bro. Slide. Get on somewhere, cuz. Sorry.
Dude, I would have been so scared, but no.
So bad. He probably would have beat me up, bro. I didn't have no energy.
True. Well, he wouldn't have been able to beat you up, but...
Nah, beat his ass, Andrew. I'm just playing.
Yeah, what if his chromosomes were different than yours, though?
Interesting. So, I'm not apologizing. I'm not apologizing for posting about that girl.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, oh, once they found out that she actually was a girl, that XY chromosome stuff was fake.
Yeah, so I don't know everything, all the ins and outs, but so I'll tell you where I like draw this imaginary fake line that we have no business even arguing about. Mm-hmm. But I believe she does have the XY chromosomes, but she has all of the hardware of a female. So barring any health issues that an Olympic athlete might face when it comes to trying to make a baby, right? Because she just might not be her body just might not be in shape to withstand pregnancy. From what I understand, she has all the hardware to make a baby, and that's where I would consider someone to be a female if they can make a child. Mm-hmm. Now, she grew up as a female, and in the country that she's in, it's like illegal to get a change or whatever. Again, this is all stuff that I'm just like getting off of Twitter, so I don't know what's real, what's not real. But as far as I have been able to understand, she's a female that just has an XY chromosome, and I understand people are going to be like, well, that's impossible. But she has the hardware of a female, and therefore I would say she's a female.
She's a female. Yeah, she's a female that has like a genetic defect. But I saw something, and I don't know how accurate this is, but I saw something that there's a large, not large, but there's a certain percentage of female Olympic athletes that also have this same defect. I saw somewhere, and I don't know if this is correct, I saw somewhere that 1 in 10 female Olympic athletes have this defect, and that number might be too high. It might be 1 in 100, right? But
it goes back to like the 60s too, when they like first started even like testing for this stuff to be like, oh shit, this female Olympian has XY chromosome. So like this isn't brand new. Like this isn't the 20.
This might sound crazy, but I heard, of course, this is hearsay, that she had female, equipment that you were talking about, but also had male like testicles like up above.
I don't think that's true.
There was another.
It might not be. It sounds crazy, but
there's another Olympian that actually did get disqualified because of her testosterone levels, but she had internal testes, so she had them inside of her. But she had
so that's what I'm talking about.
I didn't hear about with this boxer though.
They say that there's some people that have an XXY chromosome, So they have the XX like a female and the Y of a male, and then those are the ones that are like, is it called like a hermaphrodite where they have both? Those ones have both. That's but she crazy. Does. I didn't see anything about her having both. I think she's just a female that has an XY chromosome. With that being said, two things. One is, I mean, where do you draw the line? If she's a female, where do you draw the line between saying like, oh, your testosterone levels have to be at a certain point? You can't be naturally this athletically gifted, because if that's the case, if we're going to say she has testosterone levels that are 500 points higher than the next girl, I mean, are we going to say Francis Ngannou is disqualified? Because I mean, I'm sure he has 500 more points of testosterone than everyone else, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a natural athletic gift, are we going to just disqualify you because of that? I don't know.
I don't think that she should be disqualified. I will say, okay, I said I was going to apologize, and I definitely jumped on the gun because I was reading misinformation.
For sure, me too.
She was genetically male.
Yeah, people were saying she was transgender.
I'm big. I'm huge advocate against that.
Yeah.
Right. So I apologize, and I'm happy for her, but it doesn't help that she like has a strong, you know what I mean? Like, you know,
she has higher testosterone, so she's going to have more like male traits.
Yeah. Like there's a couple pictures I saw and I was like convinced. I was like,
yeah,
that's a dude.
Yeah. And she's lean. She's a fighter. So she's just going to naturally look different than the girl next door that's not paying attention to her diet and shit, right? That's a little bit thicker. Like she's going to look more masculine just because she's in really good shape.
So if this is a common thing, it just asks the question, which I don't have the answer for and I'm not qualified to answer, but it's going to ask the question of, are we going to allow females that have the XY chromosome to compete in the female division? And then, you know, you always hear the person that throws out like, oh, well, let's make them their own division. But then it's like, there's not enough of them to really justify a third division. Like, that's crazy. That's never going to happen. So
well, maybe never happen in the Olympics, but
yeah, it'll happen in some smaller thing. But I mean, are we just going to say, because it's not fair, right? I mean, a woman with an XX could never, no matter how technical she is, she's not going to be able to overcome that genetic gift of being an XY.
Yeah, well,
so
it's
are
like
we just going to say they can't compete?
The one fighter that I guess the fight that really started blowing this issue up, that one girl was like, she stopped after 40 something seconds. She was like, I've never been hit that hard.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you know, it's like when my first, you know, my second UFC fight, when Deron Stewart hit me, I was like, oh, I've never been hit that hard either. You know what I mean? Some people just hit harder.
Yeah.
And maybe she was under the impression that, she had the XY and she believed that it was a male. You know what I mean? So then, you know, the placebo effect, she was like, oh, there's no way she's a girl if she hits this hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if you look up her record, she's not destroying every opponent that she's went up against. She has I think she was 20-9. So,
oh, wow.
You know, it's not like, she's not, she wasn't 30.
Her 9 losses are males.
Right. But you could also say the argument with that, Andrew, would be that she is not let's say she jumped into boxing after 1 year of training and she was winning some and losing some. But then once she got to a certain level of skill, no girl can beat her. Mm-hmm. So those losses could have been when she was so amateur that the other girl's skill took over, right? That's like the counter argument.
Yeah, definitely. I think the what caught my attention with the losses and stuff was because that I think she was Italian, right? She's like, I've never been hit that hard. But it's like, I don't know, man. I think we would see more evidence of other boxers being like, yeah, there's just something different about her, right? It just seems like that was a one. Well, I don't know. Actually, I don't know.
Well, it's like what I was saying. It's like the placebo effect. Like maybe she was already under the impression that she was fighting a transgender male, and then she hit her hard once, and she was like, "There's no way." Like she's in full belief that this is a male. You know.
But what if it's true that 1 in 10 Olympic female athletes have that chromosome? That would be super fucked up to that one girl. All the backlash that she got, and everyone in the world calling her a man, right?
Well,
including Fox News.
What about the rugby girl? Leona Maher or something like that. Is that her name? I feel bad because I follow her. She's cool. She got pretty famous early before the Olympics because somebody walked up to her into the grocery store and was like, "Oh, are you an athlete?" or something, said something crazy to her. And that's, I think, and now she's like viral in every video. I'll have to send something to you guys, but you know, I'm not saying she looks like a male, but like she's got muscles, you know, a strong, you know, masculine jawline. I mean, she's, you know, probably 6 foot, 200 pounds. You know what I mean? Like she's a beast, bro. But that's just, she's a special athlete.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
We're talking about special athletes. That's why people are the best athletes in the world. They're in the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, just like you were saying, is like some wrestlers. So once I started wrestling at the world level, when I would get my hands on some guys, well, when I'd watch some guys wrestle, I'd be like, man, I just don't see what's so special about them. And then you put your hands on them and they would be like the strongest human beings you've ever felt in your life. And they don't do anything different than anybody else does. They just have that gift. Yeah. You know, they have that extra athletic gift, which makes them one of the best wrestlers in the world. It's like Ed Ruth.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like a skinny, you know what I mean? I mean, he's jacked, but like you wouldn't think he was insanely strong. Mm-hmm. But when you grab him, he's like the first time I wrestled him at Olympic trials, at the US Open, I remember I tied up with him and I went to like try to snap him and he was just like didn't
he's like
move.
Made of wood.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, this dude's
and then he just like moves, and then you're on your back.
Yeah.
It just also has to do with
your legs. It's like, he's like,
yeah, I mean, your reaction time too, and your vision, and just the way that your body just moves in a certain way with a certain flow. Like
yeah,
some
for
people
sure. Some people are just gifted, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say is like everybody always harps on like, oh, it's got to be an even, you know, level playing field. But like dudes like that exist, right? Shaq exists. Like it's never going to be even. And I understand that like this is different because it's like, well, we can say like, hey, if you're a dude, you compete on this side. If you're a girl, you compete on this side. And then there's always going to be something weird with like this XY chromosome thing nowadays. But yeah, I just think that like if it doesn't matter, it's never going to be an evil level, right? It's never going to be even, no matter how hard we try. We can try with drug testing, we can try freaking genetic testing, all this stuff. Somebody's always going to just be better. It's just going to be another thing to point to as to saying like, oh, they're better because of this. It's like, dude,
yeah, for sure.
I'm positive she trained her ass off just as hard, if not harder than everybody else. But this one freaking thing is going to like it's going to just taint everything that she's ever going to do. And that fucking sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. I did see something where her dad like brought her birth certificate out and proved that she was born a female. And yeah, it sucks. I was being ignorant when I said I wasn't apologizing, but you know, being somebody who's tried to be that person before, the best in the world at an Olympic sport, it sucks because she probably works her ass off every single day, you know?
Yeah.
But she got it. She won. Yeah, I wanted to break down a bunch of more of the wrestling stuff, but maybe we could do that next episode. I don't want to just keep diving into it, but let's you guys down for that? Do it the next episode because I got so many more like details and we can go off on tangents of the history of American wrestling and stuff like that. But I feel like we don't really have the time for it today. But we can. I feel like this has been a good session. I think that the more that we continue to sit down and talk with each other, our what do you call it? Like our flow, our camaraderie will, keep growing. I'm excited for the future, guys.
I think having Andrew as our like 3-man just makes it like the perfect combo because like he's like that typical like has all these questions for us and stuff like that.
For sure.
And it's like there's certain like we have a lot of insight, but someone has to ask the right questions to get that insight out of us.
Yeah, because who knows what me and Mace will be talking about by ourselves.
We'll just be talking about some bullshit, bro.
Some bullshit, bro.
Yeah, and then arguing. Bullshit works, but people get tired. Not tired, but they're they need to come out of fuck.
Jesus Christ, bro.
No. Jesus,
dude, I've been trying to like cough this thing out the whole fucking episode, but They need to come out of it with some.
That's what I was thinking.
Thanks for at least holding on for a little bit, but no, they need to come out of it with some value. So while the bullshit will build, like, it will build lore around the show, because now, like, a weird, not weird, but like a funny thing that might pop up every now and again is Deron's ass up at 24-hour fitness. You know, like that. That's like a meme now, right? Like, so that's how you build that stuff. But then, talking about like the weight cut and all that stuff, like the value where they're just like, all right, fuck, I guess I won't cut weight and I won't bullshit about how much weight I have to cut moving forward, right? Like, they're now a better person for that. But no, this is cool. And yeah, I love throwing up like questions like that. And sometimes I might ask like a question that I actually do legit know the answer, but I'm like, people want to know this. Here's this, alley-oop, go ahead and dunk it. Like, that's my favorite thing to do, So I'll try.
What we got to do is we got to get you like being like Jamie or whatever on the Joe Rogan, where he like pulling up the like pulling up the answers to our questions too. Because like, although I feel like I know almost everything, I don't know everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I know I got to get better at like doing the remote stuff with that. Like, I can do that in person really well, but like sharing the screen and all that shit, I'll figure it out.
Oh yeah, if you put like a little fourth screen right here, that would be sweet.
Oh, that would be so sick. But we don't even need that. We just need you to maybe look up the answer sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But hey, we're gonna keep growing, bro. We're gonna keep growing. Yeah, it's our 5th episode, and I don't plan on slowing down anytime soon.
Oh yeah, so we just need a closer. So either one of you give us a little fucking like closer and tell people to like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff.
On you, Mason.
Oh, I thought you just couldn't wait to do that, bro.
No, it's on you, bro.
This has been the Mason and Deron Show, and make sure you follow me.
Wait. The Mason.
He switched it.
The Deron and Mason Show.
This has been the Mason Fowler experience with my assistant, Deron, and my VP, Andrew. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Mason Fowler BJJ. If you guys follow Deron Winn on Instagram, please unfollow him. And we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys next time.
Crazy, bro.
Follow me on TikTok too.